Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the qualifying report for the 2019 Chinese Grand Prix. Now, before I get on to some of the reaction from the session, let's start by having a quick look at the provisional result. Valtteri Bottas will start the race from pole position after pipping his teammate Lewis Hamilton by a very fine margin, but it is an all-Mercedes front row. The two Ferraris are in behind with Sebastian Vettel third and Charles Leclerc fourth, 3/10 off the pole time. Max Verstappen just half a second off in fifth place with teammate Pierre Gasly in sixth. The two Renaults are next up, Daniel Ricciardo out-qualifying Nico Hülkenberg, followed by the two Haas boys. Very much a 2x2 top 10. Interestingly enough, in terms of strategy tomorrow, Bottas, Hamilton, Vettel, Leclerc and Verstappen will all start on the medium tyre with Pierre Gasly on the soft, as is the rest of the top 10. Daniel Kvyat is top of the next page in 11th for Toro Rosso, with Sergio Perez just behind in the Racing Point in 12th and Kimi Raikkonen down in 13th for Alfa Romeo. Not seeing great pace from them so far, but we know how good Kimi Raikkonen can be in race trim. Carlos Sainz will start 14th for McLaren with teammate Lando Norris in 15th and Lance Stroll 16th. And then I guess, as expected really, it is the two Williams of George Russell and Robert Kubica in 17th and 18th. But it's been a difficult weekend so far for Antonio Giovinazzi. He'll be down in 19th after an issue in qualifying that the team is still looking into apparently. And Alexander Albon, following his big crash in FP3, did not make it out for the session. He will start in last. So, it's a Mercedes front row lockout in Shanghai, and to be honest, that shouldn't really come as a huge surprise. One, because they do tend to go well in China, but also two, because they've been talking themselves down, so yeah, we all kind of know how that goes. What was great to see though was that super close fight between Bottas and Hamilton. Just 7/1000ths of a second separated the two of them going into those final Q3 runs, and as you saw there, just over 2/100ths between them. Super close and great to watch. As for some post-session reaction, Bottas admitted that his final lap wasn't perfect, but it was good enough to get the job done, and I suppose that's all that matters. It's been a good weekend so far, starting from pole. Felt already really confident this morning in the practice and in the qualifying. Honestly, I struggled a bit in Q3 to get the perfect lap in, but it was good enough. The car has been really good this weekend, and Lewis also managed to improve a lot during the qualifying, and it was super close. As for his teammate Lewis Hamilton, well, yesterday he said he was struggling with the car around Shanghai and admitted that during qualifying he was experimenting after continuing to battle his Mercedes. I was struggling with the car throughout yesterday and today going into Q2, but I made a couple of changes with some settings on the wheel and changes to the lines. I'm quite proud of the job I've done considering how far I was earlier on in the session. Valtteri's been quick all weekend, he deserves the pole. Valtteri was particularly quick in the first sector, so I was experimenting throughout the session. I think I had the quickest sector in the end, but it was a little bit too late. But still, it's all about making improvements. I think what will likely worry Ferrari is the long run pace we saw from Mercedes yesterday. The Silver Arrows just had the edge over the Scuderia. So at the moment, advantage is definitely with Mercedes. Are we heading towards a third consecutive 1-2 finish? I mean, obviously there's a long way to go yet, and as we all know, qualifying is one thing and race day can be a whole other story. One of the big surprises of the session, for me at least, though, was just how far off the pace Ferrari were. They were favourites coming into this weekend and everyone was talking about that straight line speed. But although they're gaining a lot of time on the straights, they're losing a hell of a lot through the corners over the rest of the lap. Now, Charles Leclerc said on team radio that he made mistakes but that the car was good, so I guess that explains some of that deficit from his side. And his teammate Sebastian Vettel described the gap to Mercedes as, quote, too big, and went on to say that the team was still struggling to match their pre-season pace. We have a strong platform to work from. We started very well in Barcelona. Since then, I think we've struggled a little bit to repeat that. The past two races we've had little issues here and there, so you're not happy and you try to drive around the problems. Try to set up the car differently. I think we are getting more and more there, understanding some things related to different tracks. But as I said, the car is strong, so it's up to us to extract the performance. There was a little bit of controversy, I guess, towards the end of the session. Both Red Bulls failed to cross the line in time to set a final flying lap, and replay showed Max Verstappen driving slowly, obviously trying to make a gap to the car ahead, as is pretty common practice during Q3, before Sebastian Vettel and the Renaults breezed past him, a move which Verstappen was far from happy with. I was following the Ferrari in front of me and trying to be nice. I could also have overtaken him, but it's just not what you do in qualifying. This time, it caught me out. Of course, I'm not happy about that, but it will all swing around and it will come back onto others as well. It's annoying because we could have fought for third today. Now we just need to do some more overtaking. Sebastian Vettel, on the other hand, has defended the move, saying that he had to pass the Dutchman, otherwise he risked not making it to the line in time to start his own flying lap. Obviously, everybody timed it around the same, so we all left for the same spot. If you were at the end of the train, which I was, then it was quite difficult. When the team told me we only had 10 seconds margin to cross the line in time to make another attempt, I had to think of something. I don't know if the others were not told. If everyone would have sped up the way I did, then we should have all made it. But I obviously prioritised at that point to make the lap. It felt like others were not aware. By the way, Christian Horner reiterated what Max Verstappen said, saying that he believed the team would have challenged for third without all of that jockeying for position. Frankly, if you want my view, it's just another storm in a teacup. Fine, there's a gentleman's agreement between drivers, I get that. But this is motor racing, not a game of after you, sir. Don't get me wrong, I get Verstappen's anger, but Vettel is right. He has to make sure he makes it to the line. Having all of these unwritten rules, if you like, is fine, but if a driver is set to miss out on another flying lap, that unwritten rule means absolutely nothing. It is everybody for themselves out there. Whilst people are pointing the finger at Seb, by the way, the Renaults also passed Verstappen, the only people really at fault for screwing up Red Bull's runs are Red Bull. They sent their drivers out when they did. They are the ones keeping an eye on the clock. The blame is with them, but I'm sure there will be plenty who will disagree with that. Away from the top three teams then, and Haas were another team caught out by all that fighting for track position, with both Magnussen and Grosjean failing to cross the line before the checkered flag to start their runs. However, despite being understandably frustrated about that, Grosjean admitted that he believed they are more or less where they expected to be, and added that the order in Q3 is, quote, more representative of the pecking order for the year. His teammate Kevin Magnussen, by the way, is not confident going in tomorrow and believes that their race pace could be very different. Despite making it 3-0 in the qualifying battle against Robert Kubica, George Russell wasn't completely happy with his lap, but did add that he believes the team are getting closer to the pack and are slightly more competitive. I mean, 1.1 seconds off making it into Q2, so I guess, yeah. I mean, it's still a big gap, but definitely some progress made this weekend at least. And it was a disappointing day for McLaren, quite the contrast to their double Q3 appearance in Bahrain, but Carlos Sainz said he felt the team did put together a decent session, and Lando Norris added that, quote, it wasn't horrendous. As for standout performers, well, I think Daniel Kvyat deserves a shout for his P11, narrowly missing out on Q3, but he does get a free choice of tyre for tomorrow's race, so every cloud and all that. Sergio Perez just behind in 12th is a solid result as well, and I think both the Renault boys will be happy, certainly Ricciardo anyway, but there were just 4 1/1000ths of a second between them. Basically nothing. On to my one to watch for tomorrow then, and this time around I'm going for Max Verstappen. I have my reasons. He was just half a second off the pole time and a couple of tenths behind the Ferraris, and frankly, that's a lot closer than I expected Red Bull to get in qualifying. We've seen consistently over the last year, really, that they do tend to be much better on race pace, and I genuinely do believe that they could be a threat, certainly to Ferrari, but perhaps as well to the Mercedes boys. I'm not as confident that they might take a win, although you just never know in China. Look at how the safety car changed things last season. But absolutely, a podium is certainly not out of the question for the Dutchman. Also, keep an eye on Kvyat with that free choice of tyre, of course. He might be on for some points. It's going to be interesting to see if McLaren can make their way through the field, maybe pick up some points themselves, and equally, Alexander Albon, where can he recover to? I honestly do believe that we've got a very fascinating race on the cards tomorrow. Bring it on. That is it then for the Chinese Grand Prix qualifying report, and in the comments section down below, let me know your thoughts on today's session, and also who you think will take the win tomorrow. What is your podium? Now, I will be back tomorrow at 6:40 AM UK time with the race watch along, and then copyright strike permitting, of course, I will be live again around about an hour after the checkered flag for some initial race reaction, hopefully. In the meantime, though, you can follow me over on social media. Links to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course to Discord are all in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.